Started of April the 21st, and we will start as we always do with a silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance after we're done. I would ask that as you start your silent prayer, we did it previously, but Ukraine and Russia, they're still going through what they're going through. We haven't mentioned it lately, but I really wanted to mention it again. If you could have a silent prayer for both of those areas. And also there's lots of violence that we're experiencing, not only in Hamilton County, but all over the United States and the world. So if we could pray for those who have been impacted by the violence, and also pray for the perpetrators that are conducting those negative acts. So if you could have a moment of silence, please. Amen. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you so much. If we could introduce ourselves, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Bridget Doherty. I'm the Communications Manager running the public Zoom.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Alicia Reese, Vice President of the Hamilton County Commission.
Good afternoon. I'm County Commissioner Denise Dreehouse.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator. Michael Braden, County.
Thank you so much. We are working so hard for all of you here and all the taxpayers. I am Stephanie Summerall Dumas, President of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners. So welcome all that are watching and those that are in the room. We will move forward to presentations, and we have one presentation today, Wasted Food Stops With Us Day. And I will read that proclamation. And I know we have some people here that would like to speak. Proclamation recognizing Wasted Food Stops With Us Day in Hamilton County, Ohio. Whereas Hamilton County Wasted Food Stops With Us Day celebrates the value of food as a resource that should be enjoyed, consumed, shared, and donated to reduce food being landfilled. And whereas 40% of the food grown in the United States goes to waste. And whereas 1 in 6 Hamilton County residents struggle with food insecurity, and the average family spends an extra $1,500 a year on food that is wasted. Whereas food waste contributes to the 18% of US methane emissions generated in landfills. And methane is a greenhouse gas up to 34 times more potent than carbon dioxide. And whereas Hamilton County residents are encouraged to shop their pantry, make a grocery list, store food properly, and enjoy their leftovers. And whereas Hamilton County's Wasted Food Stops With Us Day coincides with the International Stop Food Waste Day, which is designated as April the 27th of every year. And whereas Hamilton County R3 Source is hosting its own Wasted Food Stops With Us event on April 27th, 2022. Therefore, now it be proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio does hereby proclaim the 27th day of April, 2022 as Wasted Food Stops With Us Day. And this is signed by all our commissioners. So let's get it. And I know there are some people that are here to speak. I have several cards here. I'll let them speak first. Whoever's here to speak on this issue, certainly come forward.
Thank you, Madam President, Madam Vice President, and Commissioner Dreehouse. So I am the Director of Hamilton County Department of Environmental Services. And just to refresh you, that includes both Southwest Ohio Air Quality Agency and Hamilton County Resource. So I would be remiss. I wanted to congratulate Leslie on taking the interim off of her name. We do a lot of work and grants and things, and she does a fantastic job. So very happy that you are the clerk.
Great.
Congrats. So I wanted to kind of just talk a little bit about the mission of Hamilton County Resource. So the mission that we have there is to reduce our reliance on landfills. As you can imagine, a big portion of that is recycling, reusing, and then reducing waste. So food's a big part of that, which I'll let Tony talk a little bit more about. But I really wanted to thank you for making a proclamation and making this a day here in Hamilton County. Lots of times we take food for granted. There's lots of individuals who don't have the opportunity to enjoy food. It should be preserved and shared by all. And this is a way to recognize and make sure that we're taking care of these wasted foods. So it is a global issue, but we really feel that there's a lot of local solutions that we can do to fix this problem. And so having said that, I would like to introduce, if you're not familiar with Tony Stalbach, Tony is, he's a champion in this industry. He's very well known. He knows just about everybody. So if you ever need a contact, Tony's the right person. But he's fantastic. He's a true leader. And I want him to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what we're doing to honor Wasted Food Stops with Us Day.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that. That's much nicer than what I thought you were going to say. So, so Commissioner Summer Dumas, Reese and Driehaus, who doesn't love a delicious meal? And you're going to get one today. So from our dear friends from La Soup, who apparently have a personal connection to our clerk over here, they have donated a couple of quarts of soup for you to enjoy after the meeting. So there's some wonderful creamy tomato soup and some broccoli cheddar soup. So when you get a chance, say thank you to La Soup. They're a wonderful partner in this effort to reduce food waste. Unfortunately, 1 in 5 Hamilton County residents is now food insecure. Just a couple of weeks ago, we said 1 in 6, and it started to change. Post-pandemic data is coming out, and we're seeing a higher incidence of food insecurity. When we say people are food insecure, that means they don't know where their next meal is coming from. So our friends at the Freestore Food Bank are championing this cause. They're continuing to work with food recovery. They're continuing to address these issues. They're also partnering with organizations like Last Mile and La Soup to continue to try to find ways to get food to people who need it most. 40% of all food is wasted, and 40% of that food waste comes from our homes. It's really important that we as residents in the county think about where our food is coming from and what we're doing with our food when we're finished with it. Like I said, 40% of that waste comes from our homes. So the first tool in our arsenal to address the issues of food waste is wastedfoodstopswithus.org. That is our home base for our consumer-driven campaign to reduce food waste. Out of there, you'll find resources on how to shop, how to budget, how to cook, how to prepare, how to freeze, how to store, and how to ethically get rid of your food when you can't use it anymore. This week's blog is our broccoli blog. So you can learn about how to use broccoli at home. You can learn about different ways to freeze and store broccoli. And we're really excited that you'll get to enjoy some broccoli this week with your soup. So properly storing your groceries is probably one of the most important things we can all do. So I definitely encourage you to use resources from organizations like Refed, from wastedfoodstopswithus.org, or from the USDA, or from the Extension Service to address how to store your food properly. It's one of the most important things we can do. The second tool is that we do a lot of outreach. So we work with a lot of bars and restaurants. We've got a couple new 513 Green certified businesses, including Deeper Roots, which is going to host for us on the morning of April 27th, Wasted Food Stops With Us Day. So from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., you can come down and get some free coffee and learn about what they're doing to reduce food waste. But you'll also hear from our partners at Findlay Market, at the Civic Garden Center, and from Our Daily Bread, which is an amazing soup kitchen that is transforming recovered food from pantries and from restaurants into nutritious food for individuals who are unable to prepare their own foods. So it's a really great opportunity. You can join us for a lunch and learn. So we'll have a panel discussion virtually that day involving our partners at the NRDC. So we'll have that national perspective. Our partners at Green Umbrella from the Food Policy Council will be there, as well as our partners from from Last Mile Food Rescue. There's also a field trip going on with Cincinnati Public Schools and Gamble Montessori High School's Ag Ed program at La Soup at that same time. So they're going to get their experiences there. And then in the afternoon, we invite you to come to High Grain Brewing to enjoy some more lively conversation from our local small scale community composters. So we'll have some time for the city to share what they're doing with their project. We'll have time for Go Zero and Compost Now and Queen City Commons to talk about what they're doing to recover food scraps. And then we'll also have an opportunity for High Grain to share what they're doing to reduce their waste and send their spent grain off to feed hungry animals. So there's lots of really great things happening that day. We invite you to come and join us throughout the day. If you get up in the morning and you're really excited to watch the news at 5 a.m., we'll be on there. So it'll be great. But I really want to thank you for this. This is a great opportunity. And I think you're doing a really great thing by helping us out with this.
Well, thank you so much. I look at Tony and I think about the 4-H program. He actually got me indoctrinated as it relates to what 4-H program does. He's such a strong advocate wherever he goes. So certainly an asset to Hamilton County. And I was going to go over the flyer and you just sort of went over that. You weren't speaking about that. I'm going to open it up for my colleagues to speak, but I was thinking about Wasted Food Stops With Us Day, which is great, but we need more than a day. We need to be a concept. I'm going to look over at Jeff because when we went over to ARP money, we were talking about, Jeff, what if we start this program? And I'm just wondering about Hamilton County, not now necessarily, but how do we lead the way with not just a day? That there's so many people that are going to bed hungry, as you mentioned, and how do we make a more concerted effort, Hamilton County, to make sure less food is thrown out. And so, we need to think about that as a concept. So happy about this. We're going to go and take a picture after the two of my colleagues make their comments. Vice President Reese.
Just want to say thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Just taking a step back, La Soup, I want to thank them. During COVID, they were down at many of the schools, Taft, a lot of schools on the outside. Kids didn't know, people don't realize when we went into COVID, even though we had virtual learning, that also affected children to be able to get a meal. A lot of our children, unfortunately, the place to get their meal is at school. So when that happened, I saw La Soup step in and was at several locations throughout the county and the city, making sure children did not go hungry. So I do want to acknowledge that. I think this is great. I think it's a great also learning experience. We have a lot of, we are in the days of cooking shows. And I would say after COVID, every time you turn on your social media, they got a cooking show. And I just thought what you're doing with the wasted food stops here, maybe they're, as you said, your website now, it's a cool thing not to get rid of your food. That, we start to train this generation and the next generation. This is, if we make it cool, it's the cool thing not to waste food. And you can learn a lot. When you just talked about broccoli, I mean, I'm going to go in there and find out, because I know for me, I thought broccoli, I had one day, I got to hurry up and eat it because it's, I don't know how to properly make sure that it's still good for 2 or 3 days or those kind of things. So I just think this is a great learning opportunity for our whole county, starting with this day, but I'm glad you have a website that people can go on. We can make it fun, make it cool, make it hip, and just make it, we need to make it, this is how you do it. This is the way we do it. So you're changing the mindset and trajectory and the habits that many people have. So I'm excited about that. Thank you so much for that. And I just agree with President Dubas, and I'm sure Commissioner Driehaus is going to talk as well, that again, how do we go from a day and, make it the way of life? It becomes the way of life. And if there's a way that Hamilton County can help lead in that effort, maybe we can have a link to our website, to your website, to help. And there's some tutorial videos and those kind of things. I think it would be great. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Driehaus.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here and presenting. I do think this is an issue that affects all of us. We all buy food. We all eat food. And we all throw food away, I think, unfortunately. So I think it's good that we have it top of mind today. and you've brought it to our attention. So I appreciate the reminder that we need to be more conscious about the food that we're wasting so that we don't waste food and we're much more aware of what we're purchasing and how much we're purchasing. The other thing, Madam President, I thought we were going to be eating soup today from the dais. So I heard about the soup and I didn't eat much for lunch. So I was ready, but I understand it's frozen. So we have to let it thaw out. So maybe next time, but both the options sound very good to me. And I'm very grateful to the soup for providing that. They did cater the Farm Bureau dinner that I went to a couple of weeks ago, and the food's fantastic. And so thank you for bringing it over. Thanks to La Soup for what they do to preserve food and reuse food in this community. And thanks again to all of you for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you. And I can think about, I've been a part of, and I think a couple of us have been a part of the Food Hunger Alliance, where we've been giving out boxes of food. Just recently, I think it was Taylor Elementary. Yes, it was. And we gave out boxes so they could make it through spring break. And they were so excited about getting this box of food so they would have something while they were off from school. So it really touches us deeply, and we'll be talking more about it. So why don't we go up and take a picture real quick?
Actually, can you go right here? I'm gonna get the seal behind us. Yeah, I'll share it with you guys. Perfect, and we got the seal, wonderful. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, we have quite a few cards for public comments, so we'll get started on that. Michelle Heist.
Not that I'm advocating for them, but maybe like cooking classes for kids.
Yeah,
Good afternoon,
good afternoon.
commissioners.
Mhm.
I'm the Union Chief Steward for JFS Frontline Workers, ASME Local 1768. And I want to say I appreciate my community, and I appreciate the JFS line workers that I represent. This past Tuesday, Holly presented to the Commissioner Board recommendations for the remaining American Rescue Plan Act funds. What wasn't heard was how county employees would be included in this. Recommendations like distributing pay incentives to essential workers for essential work to retain them, or recommendations for items very similar in nature to help support the remaining essential workforce. Recommendations like this are in alignment with the funding principles outlined for the ARPA dollars. The Treasury Department's final rule increased flexibility and expanded provisions for the use of those ARPA dollars. Social services such as JFS did not appear to be a key identified industry for essential workforce development. Some may not understand why it's crucial for recommendations on retention regarding essential JFS functions and the essential JFS workers, but there are several critical reasons. Because you also have to help the people that help the people, as you said on Tuesday's meeting. Because JFS is increasing in an increasing state of shortages of its current workforce. And as a result, families will continue to experience delays in processing benefits and services. Because wait times are upwards of 1 to 3 hours for consumers' cash food and medical assistance benefits. Because families in this community depend and rely on the services provided by JFS frontline workers. Because families are passed from worker to worker because their workers are leaving the agency and they have to invite yet another person into their life and trauma and continually establish new relationships. Because more and more children are at risk and placement is more and more becoming challenging to find for those kids. Because more and more time is passing with children away from their families. Because many families in the community turn to JFS in their time of need, but the turnaround to serve them is becoming greater and greater. Because in addition to housing and health, these families have to eat. They need childcare processing services. They need child support services, transportation services, employment services, document processing services, and their families safe and together. And because it's the JFS frontline workers who are providing these services. I'm almost finished. I appreciate your patience. I know it's exhausting for the community, but it's also exhausting for the frontline workers. The frontline workers that are remaining, their plates are full and there isn't enough belly room. They are being stuffed, and stuffed. So what happens when one is too stuffed? The body regurgitates. It begins throwing up. These workers are throwing up their knowledge. They're throwing up their skills. They're throwing up their years of experience. They're throwing up their value. They're throwing up their dedication. They're throwing up their worth. They're looking at it, cleaning it up, and they're exiting for other opportunities. And we don't blame them. We don't need to continue to lose good people. We can start valuing the ones that we currently have. The workers just don't see themselves valued as they should. And that will impact this community. Retention at JFS is impacting this community. These current frontline workers are overwhelmed, stuffed, discouraged, and your constituents who are also stakeholders, those families are this community, and they will pay the price for the loss of workers. They will pay the price for almost 1 year's time that it takes for a new worker to become established in their new role. So you will have new employees discouraged and struggling because the work isn't easy. Hiring new employees at higher rates of pay isn't going to collectively solve the problem when your experienced workers to assist them are walking out the door. Or the message it sends to a new person coming into or to a person who's already here, that a person coming into the door is hired at a higher rate of pay to perform the same work. It speaks directly to value. Yes, recruit. Yes, recruit. Give the money to recruit, absolutely. But also provide pay incentives to retain. County Administrator Ludo, you said that these recommendations
So
were
I'm going to
intentional.
let you kind of tie it up.
Absolutely. I'll
Allow
stop right
a
there.
little longer because you are representing a lot of people. So that's why we went past the 3 minutes and you tie it up.
I'll end with
Okay.
this.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The harvest to help this community is very, very large. It's plentiful, but it's the laborers who are few.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Just say that last part again, because you kind of went low on that.
I'm sorry. I said the harvest to help this community is
Mhm.
plentiful, but
Mhm.
it's the laborers who are few.
Okay, thank
So
you.
I appreciate it and thank you for
Mhm.
the extended time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, let's move forward. Shannon Hooton. Have 3 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. I'm sorry, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Shannon Hooton, and I'm the Strategic Director at Mortar Cincinnati.
Mhm.
I am here to comment on the Workforce Development ARPA funds and to request flexibility for more entrepreneurs to access the workforce development funds. Currently, the identified target industries, while incredibly important to the future of work, miss a variety of industries that have proven to be beneficial in allowing people facing systemic barriers the opportunity to overcome them by means of entrepreneurship. Mortar provides entrepreneurship training and development with a 15-week program and 18-month alumni program. Since 2014, Mortar has graduated over 350 entrepreneurs from our entrepreneurship training program. And we've reduced barriers by awarding nearly $400,000 in grants and low-interest loans to its alumni. By assisting several alumni, we've also assisted several alumni with leasing brick and mortar spaces throughout Cincinnati. The majority of our participants are Black women and are using our program to develop and build their dreams and support their families. Some of the successes we've seen come in the form of a cookie company, a local brewery, clothing and retail stores, and event catering industries. Although we've had founders in some of the specified areas listed, like childcare and hospitality, the list currently excludes a number of other business types that require additional resources and support to grow and scale their businesses in the form of training and development. Adding entrepreneurship as an option will ensure the available funds will assist more people who need it and give families more options for building wealth in our community.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I know Mortar is well known among the board, and we have allocated a couple times to mortar and even advocated for increased monies to mortar. So thank you for
We
coming
appreciate your
forward.
support. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, Robert Sharp. Okay, you're a doctor, I see. So what's your last name, Shapiro?
Hi, hello, Commissioners. My name is Robert Shapiro.
Okay, all righty, welcome.
And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today about allocation, about rescue fund dollars. I'm here to talk about how we can, as a community, improve outcomes by reducing the effects of childhood experiences, which really is a public health problem. Childhood adversity includes child abuse and neglect, experiencing neighborhood violence, racism, and other traumatic experiences. These experiences all activate the body's stress response, causing increased levels of adrenaline and cortisol. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused significant increased adversity for many of the children and people within our community because of isolation, family stress, and even the death of a parent. As a pediatrician at Cincinnati Children's and as a director of the Mayerson Center for Safe and Healthy Children, I see every day the effects of adversity on human and child development. When children and families become overloaded by the stress that adversity causes, without the buffering of a safe and nurturing relationship, their forward momentum is impaired. And it's really geared towards survival rather than the development of social emotional learning. An overloaded stress response actually causes changes in the brain's architecture, which leads to future mental illness, juvenile court involvement, and later violent crime. In Hamilton County, nearly 26% of children have experienced 2 or more ACEs. And the CDC estimates that if we were to prevent the effects of ACEs, we would see a 15% reduction in unemployment, a 44% reduction in the number of adults who experience depression. And in fact, even just a 10% reduction nationally would result in $56 billion in savings. Fortunately,
Go ahead.
thank you. Fortunately, children and their youth and youth development is a dynamic process, and healthy brain development can occur even in the face of adversity. Both negative and positive experiences help to shape the child's brain's architecture. And so their potential for mental wellness and healthy futures can really be changed. I believe that an informed community is a very important step to avoid re-traumatization and to improve the outcomes of our children as they develop. And so I'm advocating that as a community, one of our next steps is to increase the recognition of county employees in our community and to not only recognize and avoid re-traumatization, but to improve outcomes through promotion of resilience.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming. Pam McKee. She's here to talk about mental health. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Pam McKee, and I'm a longtime professional in the areas of mental health, suicide prevention, intervention, trauma, many other things, working with at-risk youth and families here in Hamilton County my entire career. Thank you, commissioners, for your thoughtfulness throughout the process of reviewing how these funds might be used and allowing the community to provide feedback on the recommendations. As the Chief Program Officer of Best Point, formerly the Children's Home in St. Aloysius, which we date way, way back, I work closely with children's behavioral and mental health issues in collaboration with many partner agencies to deliver the highest level of care that we can for our county's youth. As we continue the pandemic, mental and behavioral health care is more important than ever. Conditions of suicide, overdose, and mental health crisis are staggering. You don't see it often enough in the news as you do other things. It needs to be out there. And matters around the reimbursement parity, clinician workforce shortage, access and availability are at a crisis. We alone have over 500 children and families waiting for service on our waiting list. I encourage you to consider a larger investment in strengthening mental and behavioral health and substance abuse services. The rollout of the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline has aligned existing entities in a collaboration between Best Point, Talbot House Children's Hospital, and many others. And this should be funded alongside the mobile crisis team to comprehensively support youth, young adults, and adults in our community for this crisis care. Awareness and destigmatization of mental health are key for children and families seeking and staying in treatment. We have agencies like NAMI 1 and 5, Mind Peace, Grant Us Hope, already doing this work, but we lack a forum and an ownership that leads with shared resources and develops efficiencies and assures effectiveness. I'm not sure a traditional marketing firm is needed, as there are organizations like ours and others that have marketing expertise and deep roots in these matters and have spent years building trust in the community and can be pulled together with this funding around a shared and consistent approach and deliverables. Thank you again for your attention to these important matters as you continue revising and improving these recommendations. We ask that you lean on organizations like Best Point, who have spent years in mental health. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Reggie Harris, Councilman Harris is here to speak. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
President Dumas and Vice President Reese and Commissioner Driehaus. I appreciate you allowing me to speak. So I'm here to speak particularly to two recommendations that was put forward with the county regarding housing production and preservation under that section. Specifically, the $17.5 million allocated to implement grant programs to produce new affordable housing units, and the $8 million to support rehabilitation of existing affordable housing. The city, we're doing our best. We're digging in to tackle our affordable housing crisis, but we know this is a regional issue, and city-county collaboration is going to be critical. I have hope, and so many people have hope, that we are working very well together. I think about our recent collaboration around 3CDC, really digging in, doing the work. It wasn't just a rubber stamp, but we asked tough questions and we arrived at I think at a very powerful place. And so I know that we can do this with housing. And so specifically, I'd like to humbly ask that the county consider putting the money into the Cincinnati Development Fund in alignment with the city's priorities. So we know that this funds of funds makes it easier for developers to have a one-stop shop for financing. Speed is really crucial in this climate with inflation and the cost of construction rising. Getting units online quickly is critical to that. CDS has expertise in financing and preservation of affordable housing. And additionally, those funds can be leveraged so that we can do more with our investments. And then I think the most important thing is that CDF has a public board. I am a member of that board to make sure that we are accountable. And I know for myself, a lens of equity is really important as we think about the distribution of these dollars. And then finally, I want to end in commending this process. I think that this transparency and engagement with the community allows us to really do some effective work. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. My colleagues have any questions specifically about the city of Cincinnati or anything? No? Okay, I can give you a chance to answer. Okay, okay. Paul Hafner, I should say. Which one is it? Okay, very good.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Paul Hafner, President and CEO of Lighthouse Youth and Family Services. And Benita Campbell, our Vice President of Homeless Youth Services, and I had the pleasure of actually being part of the Ernst & Young led process from, it felt like a long time ago now, but September through December. So I was part of the homelessness prevention work group, and Benita was part of the youth workforce development work group. So I think what has been presented and that Ernst & Young provided you and Mr. Aludo provided to all of us last Friday is a really great working draft. And I know you guys have some tough decisions to make over the next couple of days as you work to allocate this funding. From our perspective at Lighthouse, we work with youth and young adults solely. So we are age 0 to 24. And I will say the mental health aspect, what has been going on, I think we started to see it last year in a lot of our teens, increase in suicidality, increase in severe mental health issues. I think we are continuing to see it. I think this is going to be with us for several years. So I applaud the bucket that is in there for supporting youth at a level of, I think it's $2 million. Benita and I would suggest that be augmented if there is a way to do that. Next on the homeless prevention, that was my work group, so I'm partial. There's $2 million set aside for fostering innovative solutions. If you think of that in connection with the homelessness prevention that Councilman Harris just spoke about, I think they work hand in hand. We are always considering innovative solutions at Lighthouse for our young adults. So we are excited about the RFP process. I will say the homelessness prevention we applaud because, as you all know, rents are rising out of town. Landlords are coming in and buying up properties. We are very aware and worried that our youth will be adversely impacted by rising rents in our community. So we applaud anything that can be done there. And then finally, the youth workforce. Most of that would go to our partners. We have the kids, they have the programs. So we love a lot of the work that's being done in the community and funding for those excellent summer programs that are coming up, but also the after school and the youth workforce development. We are very eager to have access to those. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Jessica Knight.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Jessica Knight, Strategic Operations Director at LAD, helping to lead innovation in the disability field. LAD is a local agency founded 45 years ago by parents that wanted a better life for their children with developmental disabilities. Over 4 decades, we have quietly done the work to find ways for people with developmental disabilities to live and work in our communities. Today, nearly 1 in 41 children is born on the autism spectrum, and the demand for our housing and services continue to grow. And so today I ask you to consider supporting LAD's new affordable housing model called Smart Living that pairs high quality housing, cutting edge technology, and efficient supports. Currently, we have successfully scaled 37 individuals with disabilities in Hamilton County. Help us bring this model to the city of Cincinnati. I realize LAD isn't P&G or some fancy startup, right? Instead, we are simply a deeply determined local agency that is relentless in the pursuit of our mission to empower people with developmental disabilities to live, work, and connect. And because of this commitment, we have built an incredibly unique technology solution that has gotten the attention of the state of Ohio, technology firms, states, and agencies across the country seeking a new and better way for delivering affordable community-based services to adults with developmental disabilities. We did not do this alone, partnering with Xavier University and local tech firm Sonova. Recently, the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities assessed our work and found that every level of ability, we were able to provide a better outcome at a lower cost. I urge you to support LAD's proposal to bring a smart living cluster of homes to the city of Cincinnati. Together, we are building a community that includes and empowers all of us to live, work, and connect.
Thank you so much. I've heard great things about the smart living homes. Actually, I know one client who moved into one of them. So, yeah.
If you get an opportunity, you should do a tour.
Mhm.
Definitely take
Okay.
care.
Thanks. Okay, Jan Gerhardt.
More about that now.
Okay.
Madam President, Madam Vice President, and Commissioner Dreehouse, I'm Jane Gerhardt. I'm on the board of LAD. And I am also, I work in the disability field. I work at Cincinnati Children's at a program called LEND, which stands for Leadership Education in Neurodevelopmental Disability. I'm also the mom of a 24-year-old daughter with Down syndrome. In those 24 years, I've learned that there are some real gut check times to be a parent of a child with disability. And one of them is when you're considering housing for your adult child. You think, fine, my kid can live with me for the rest of their lives, but that deprives them of the chance to make their own life on their own. And what happens when you're 85 and something happens to you and suddenly your 60-year-old adult child has to figure out how to live on their own for the first time in their lives? That is not a plan. Parents need a plan. The plan is for innovative, affordable, and quality housing for people with disabilities to help them live in their own communities independently and safely. By supporting LAD's Smart Living Forever homes, the county has a chance to further an affordable housing solution that is unique, safe, and supportive. Funding LAD's Forever homes allows the county to leverage over $4 million in outside funding sources to launch this new service model. LAD's Smart Living homes pair technology, and you'll see that when you take a tour, and we invite you all to take a tour. I know some of you have seen our homes. It allows increased independence for the residents, increased wages for frontline workers, those direct support professionals that support our family members with disabilities, and lowers the cost of overall service. State of Ohio has reviewed the data and come to the same conclusion that LAD delivers better outcomes for people with developmental disabilities at significantly lower costs. When a nonprofit like LAD is developing community-specific housing, they don't have the same tools that a regular developer has. They don't get profits from rent. They can't use those financing models. We use grants to let us build affordable housing, and we can continue our operations. Disability housing in particular, the number of units to cost ratio is not the same. It's not the right model to determine the value of that housing. Just because a unit is affordable doesn't mean it works for people with disabilities living in community. As new affordable housing projects are funded through the county's ARPA dollars, we ask the commission ensure that nonprofits like LAD that are serving really unique populations have access to those funds. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for your comments. Chris Heckman. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Chris Heckman. I'm volunteer with Citizens Climate Lobby, which is a national nonpartisan grassroots organization focused on trying to build political will for carbon pricing nationally. And I'm hoping that the commissioners would be willing to pass a resolution in support of the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. I came a few weeks ago to talk about potentially doing that. I had the privilege to talk to third graders yesterday all day at Spencer Center, which is where my kids go. And they won't be 18, they won't be able to vote by the time scientists say we need to cut emissions worldwide in half by 2030. Okay, so that means we need transformative policies. And I was happy to see Reggie Harris here lobbying you guys, a bigger government agency. And I think that it's important that Hamilton County lobbied the federal government to put this kind of plan into place. So the largest statement by economists in history actually support carbon dividends as a policy. It basically means that polluters will have to pay more for the pollution that they create, and carbon dividends give all that money back to households. So that means that as costs go up on per gallon of gasoline, you actually get more back in the dividend to people. And companies will have to pay into that big pot of money, but only residents get that money back. And so you actually make more in the dividend than, so I'm happy to talk to each of you to find out what questions you have regarding the policy and how we can get a resolution passed. Thank you.
Great. Is that a draft resolution you have there? Or?
I do. I have notes written all over it. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
So you want to submit it to our clerk, not that one, but
Yes.
send another one and we can review it and see where we are with it. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your work.
Thank
that
you
you're
very
doing.
much.
Yeah. Okay. Jean Hall. Welcome.
I apologize for not being here knowingly what I'm supposed to really do, but I've been here, it's my third time. And I have pictures that I would, if y'all could just pass these pictures along, but I need them back Y'all can just look at what I'm going through.
Mhm. Yeah, we can make a copy and give them back to
But
you.
these are, a report that has most of the pictures in it, but
Mhm.
these are pictures that came from MSD,
Okay?
or some of the pictures of what we're going through.
Mhm.
Again, I apologize for not being prepared. I'm
You
Jean
don't-
Hall,
You don't have to apologize. You're
Okay.
here and you're
I'm
speaking.
hurting,
Okay.
and I
Mhm.
don't know what to do.
Okay,
And forgive me, because I'm not here with tears for sympathy.
sure.
I'm here because I'm hurting.
Mhm.
I woke up this morning, and forgive me,
No.
yesterday or 2 days ago, I have a finished basement full of carpet. I went in my basement, which I don't go often, and my carpet is soaked and wet coming from my sewer drain.
Mhm.
I complained to MSD. I had an engineer come out to my house and told them this is a severe mudslide. When I reported this to my neighbor, she said, Jean, they're not going to help you. I've been doing this for 5 years. Now we're on top of my 5 years. That's 10 years that we've been trying to fight to get these manholes and sewer lines taken care of because it's destroying our properties. On February the 11th, I've been talking to Vice Mayor. She's been working with me for 2 years. MSD been lying to her tremendously. She's not aware and don't know anything about this type of work. So she just taking their word because they're professionals. Okay, they all for the city, they work together. But all along, she's helping me, trying her best. However, on February the 11th, she asked me, can Diane Christie come to my house? And I said, and she wanted an engineer to come. I said, well, you know, they're going to be very biased. They're going to have a plan already. I said, they do not want to accept responsibility. This is damages being done to me by the city. I've been, now I'm a victim. I've been victimized by my own city. I'm tired of them hurting me. When they came to my house, they came with 3 different engineers. The engineer from MSD stated, they just looked at my backyard. They said, oh, all this got to do with these 4 houses is why your backyard like this. These 4 houses has been putting tampons and paper towels in the sewer drain. And that's why you all have this problem. And this is what you all have to come together and try to fix. That is so untrue. She also said this house is 100 years old. These manholes are 100 years old. And my family and I have been on that street for 70 years. Not once have they been on my street. So at this time, since I came to the very first commissioners meeting, the next day, a few days later, they're out trying to flush the sewers. The sewers and the manholes all lead in our backyard from the whole entire Evanston. Everything runs to my backyard. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you
No,
want to say-
I'm going to just make a comment as it relates to your issue. You have been here before, as you were saying.
This is my
And-
3rd time.
And specifically, we're going to assign someone to work on your issue. We work with MSD on a regular basis. We'll have someone on our staff, administrative staff, to work with you. Who knows what the solution or the resolution will be. You may not agree, whatever, but I want to make sure that we come to a conclusion of what needs to happen. And so our administrator is here, and I'm sure he will assign somebody specifically to look at your issue because it's been going on too long, and we'll see what the proper resolution is. Maybe there's nothing we can do about it.
There's some, I'm sorry, there are things to do. I know what to do. Only thing is, after they came out February 11th, 3 weeks ago, we had stormwater management, Eric Saylor come out. And he has not gotten back with us with his report, but he tried to blame it all on us. However, they're out now like tremendously. I ran into a guy on Friday. He had the vacuum trucks getting ready to unclog the sewers. I said, do you mind if I take a picture for my notes that you're out here? He said, yes. I explained a little bit to him. He said, that explains why MSD got us out here working. He said, we have 7 to 8 trucks working only in Evanston. He said they just bought or got a brand new truck just for Evanston. Now that they're trying to flush Now that they flushing it out, trying to get to the manholes only 3 feet high, 4 feet at the most. It's backing up and over the new ones, wait a minute, it's backing up. Now that they're flushing, it's backing into our houses. It coming and it's now backing into my basement. They're pushing raw sewage in my basement right now. And the manholes that they repaired are not high enough to hold all this storm water. And once they repair all the manholes on Hyde Park side.
Okay.
Outside of my property line is Hyde Park. They repair every manhole, but all the manholes that are in Evanston, that are right next to the same manholes that they repaired, they didn't repair nothing in Evanston.
So just, what I'm going to say to you is give us an opportunity, the county, an opportunity to see where we are as it relates to resolution of this issue. And we'll put whoever we need to put on this problem. And hopefully when you come back, you will say, well, they responded to me, they worked on it. Maybe we can, like I said, maybe there's nothing we can do. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but we want to look at all sides and you shouldn't have to resolve it all on your own. And so we will get someone on this, and I know Jeff is hearing me, and to work with MSD and see actually what's been going on and how we can resolve it, because we can't resolve it here. But I thank you so much for coming back. And I hopefully when you come back, it'll be a better solution.
Hopefully I don't have to come back. Hopefully everything is resolved.
Well, you'll come back and tell us if we
and I like
resolved
seeing
it.
this beautiful people up here in my city.
But I thank you so much for coming out and letting us know, really, nothing new has
Nothing's been
happened.
done.
So I
Nothing.
certainly appreciate it. Thank
No
you for
problem.
taking your time.
And that's the pictures I showed y'all is what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. You too. So we have,
Just very
Jeff.
briefly. So as the board is aware, Karen Ball is our coordinator liaison to MSD for the county. And she typically oversees constituent complaints of this nature that have gone through the MSD process. So we'll work with Karen to pull together all the relevant information. We'll do an assessment of it and get something to the board here quickly.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple people on Zoom that would like to speak. Peg Durkers. Hello, Peg.
Hello.
Hi, you have 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. I am Peg Durkers. I am the Chief Operations Officer and incoming CEO of Bethany House Services. We are an agency that serves families at risk of or who are already homeless. As a matter of fact, today we have 40 families, 145 individuals, and what's perhaps most compelling to note, 98 children under 18 in our emergency shelter. Each year we see more and serve more, house more than 750 children in our emergency shelter. In our prevention, homelessness prevention, our emergency shelter and rental assistance services, we work with more than 650 families each year. So first, I just want to thank the commissioners for your very quick tactical support during COVID. It meant the world to the 4 family homeless providers. We were able to quickly get our families quarantined and keep our children safe. And those strategies really did keep cases low. And of course, we were at risk of being an outbreak point for the county, but we did not because of your quick actions. So thank you. Second, I want to echo a lot of the comments that have already been said by many of our partners in the room today. And thank you for this thoughtful and transparent and very planful process, and especially for the homelessness prevention priority around shelter diversion and the affordable housing. During the last 2 years, our length of stay in emergency shelter has increased from an average of 45 days to 70 days because we cannot find decent affordable housing for our families to move out to. And for anybody with a barrier, sometimes it's more than 150 days. And this causes more trauma for the family and all of those children that I've mentioned that Dr. Shapiro spoke about earlier. I hope that some of the affordable housing will prioritize building multi-bedroom units so that families that we serve will have places to go to live. Two issues I did not see in the recommendations that I just wanted to mention. One is childcare. We used to be able to get our children into quality childcare within 48 hours of entering shelter. Now it is taking weeks. We lost so much childcare capacity during COVID, and it is not coming back quickly. The second, and while the ARPA recommendations do not address emergency shelter, and we know that it's a need because only 25% of the families who call the county central homelessness hotline are able to be served, we are hopeful that the implementation of the children's tax levy recommendations will provide an opportunity to address this need, which rose more than 16% over the last 2 years. So we hope that implementation will come soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Peg, and congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
We have Kelly Mulligan. Kelly, are you there?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak this afternoon. I'm here in support of the recommendation to invest ARPA funding in eviction prevention innovation. Eviction prevention is a critical housing intervention that keeps families in their homes and helps avoid the trauma and upheaval of homelessness. I'm here representing a partnership convened by the Greenlight Fund Cincinnati to implement the Renew Collaborative, which is a proven eviction prevention model that brings together property owners and community partners to both preserve tenancies and use the cost savings associated with eviction prevention to generate self-funding reimbursement revenue. The Renew Collaborative has been working for the last year with leading local partners like the Cincinnati Metro Housing Authority, United Way of Greater Cincinnati, and the Municipal Court Help Center to help introduce this model. We believe that local partners support this model because this is a critical moment in time for investing in eviction prevention. After the 2008 financial crisis, there was a huge influx of short-term federal funding for eviction prevention and no long-term plan for sustainability. Eviction prevention innovation projects like this one present a unique opportunity to Hamilton County to leverage this current infusion of one-time federal funding to create the blueprint for sustainable and replicable tenancy preservation in Ohio. The proposed recommendations being considered show a strong commitment to protecting the community's most vulnerable neighbors, and we believe that solutions that promote housing stability are the critical foundation for that commitment. And we've already seen that proven out, hearing in the earlier comments from Councilmember Harris, the folks from Lighthouse, the folks from LAD, folks from Bethany House. And so we just like to echo all of those comments and also say that we believe that eviction prevention is a high impact and cost-effective way of combating homelessness because it truly stops homelessness before it starts. And so we're grateful that the commission is considering the transformative potential of eviction prevention innovations. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, those are all our comments. I'll move forward. We'll move to comments and motions by our commissioners. Just a few, I'll run through it fairly quickly. I met last Friday with Televate, which is helping to determine our broadband access and trying to have surveys within the community and our stakeholders to see how we go about enhancing our broadband. Also on this Saturday, I delivered a proclamation for Arnetta Whitehead signed by all our commissioners, not only for her 70th birthday, but also her community work. She's done lots of things. She actually was in the Ebony Fashion Show. She was part of the group who got that started. And then I met with Phil Castellini on the 19th as it relates to the Reds, and also Phil Beck. So two Phils on that day. Phil Beck brought up ideas and information and concepts as it relates to the Black Walk of Fame. And then today I met with Robert Harris and Steve Sunderland, who are very active in cancer services within the community and also extremely active in providing vaccines for our community through this pandemic. And so they are just a great group. And they also represent those that are disabled. And then met later on this morning with Pat Tribby with the mental health levy that will be coming forward. So that's about all I have right now for comments and motions. Vice President Reese.
Yes, thank you. Attended a historic and great event. I know Commissioner Dreehouse is going to talk more about it. The signing that happened yesterday at the library for equal pay and equity pay for women. And so I'll let her, I don't want to steal her thunder. I'll let her talk more about that, but I was just happy to be there and be a part of that yesterday. Also, yesterday I was in Bond Hill, which is, my community down the street where I'm at. CEAI announced and had a ribbon cutting at the opening of a new market. So we have these food deserts. And so I live in a food desert, and they'll be able to have fresh vegetables and produce coming to the Bond Hill area on California Avenue. I also met with Televate as well on broadband, and something that I'm very, very passionate about, Wi-Fi and broadband. And just a couple areas that I put out, a couple, obviously, I'm always about how to make Hamilton County number one. Many counties, all of us are coming out of this pandemic. And the question is, where do we go from here? There are a lot of people that say, hey, let's get back. We're not trying to get back. We're trying to go forward. Keep the stuff that was good, but stuff that we can improve on, we got to get rid of that. And we got to look at how do we become futuristic, the number one county where it's affordable to live. We're up to date on technology. It's a place small businesses want to move into. Other small businesses want to advance. We want it to be number one in tourism. We want conventions coming here, tourism coming here. We want to expand our sports, not just in professional sports. We want to look at where can we get in the game on the amateur sports, mom and dad and grandma who are running around, and auntie running around with your kids, how to bring them here so we can make money off of the conventions and the tour and the tournaments that many parents are running off with the minivans and booking hotels other places. We want them coming here with the minivans and booking hotels. So with that, on broadband, there were a couple things. I was also in New York a couple weeks ago at a National Civil Rights Convention, and broadband was a big issue. And I got to hear just nationally what others might be saying, and are there anything that we can implement? But there were three areas that I thought is very important. One is there's a lot of focus on broadband at the state and the federal level, and a lot of that is about infrastructure. And at the end of the day, it helps the provider. So all the providers are like, yeah, broadband, get this infrastructure out here. But then the people are stuck with the bill in terms of the monthly cost and not being affordable. And so we want to look at not just the infrastructure, which the state and the federal government will take care of. We want to look at how do we increase our free hotspots? How do we free places that you could go? Everywhere in Hamilton County, we want to have some free Wi-Fi that you can get to. We want to make sure, obviously, our children in schools and senior citizens who now have to deal with technology and haven't had to do that in a long time, have the accessibility from that perspective of an education perspective, but also accessibility on the financial assessment. Is our dollars better used to help buy down the cost, where if it's $50 a month, or just hypothetically, you only pay $10 a month. We want to make sure that it's accessible to everyone, because this is the future. This is how you got to do business. This is how you're going to connect to your health exams and healthcare. This is how you're going to, our youth, this is how you're going to be able to connect to the future. We are in a global society, and the key to that is connectivity. So I'm excited to hear what they come back with, and had a great meeting with them via Zoom with Holly. Holly's smiling over there. I'm not going to say it, Holly, about Zoom. But anyway, we have some ways to go on our connectivity too as we go into that. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, looking at my notes here. Oh, other thing I wanted to bring up, we're talking about where we're going to put our ARPA dollars. And I know each of us are going to, we've heard a lot. We also had a lot of questions and some input. And there were some components that were brought out Tuesday, which I thought was great. The area of youth, development, employment, internship, fellowship, and then having something that we can call ours. Hamilton County, as President Dumas has said, let's have something that's ours, that is not about your income level. All of our youth, we want to get as many of them we can in positive activity. So I'm excited about looking at that. One of the things I thought was left out is senior citizens. They were not really in this ARPA plan. And we can't leave out senior citizens. I know that we have approved a $1.25 million fund through our levy this time. And a program just started for senior citizens, and we'll have that phone number pretty soon to help seniors with their gas and electric, their water bill, some repairs. But we want to make sure it's not just this year. We want to make sure that seniors are in this American Rescue Plan. And so I certainly will be adding that. And I think the idea of housing for disabilities, people with disabilities, and housing for senior citizens, also, I like to see that included in our housing. I think we need a mix. I know Councilmember Harris came up and provided what the city's doing with putting it into a fund. And I'm interested in that, some of that model, but not all of the money. I like to see a mix of something that is produced, something we can put our hands on, something that is no place in the county has done it, in the whole county, that we can be at with the ribbon cutting versus just trickling our dollars, 10,000 here and 20,000 there. I think we need a project, and we still can do a fund that can do that, other pieces as well. So, and then the last thing, and I've got more, but the last thing I want to just say is that we want an ROI. We want to see a return on our investment. Where do we invest these? How do we get a return that really helps change the trajectory of helping our county move in the direction of forward thinking, of leaving no one behind, of affordability, and that's futuristic. So I'm excited about where we started and how we're going to be able to hear what we've heard from different people and put some of that into the new plan before we pass the final plan. So that's all I have, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we're asking that each office can put everything in writing. What you said, Monday is your birthday, so you'll do it on Sunday.
Holiday in Hamilton County. No, just kidding.
So, no, yeah. What'd you say, Tuesday? Okay, we can. All righty. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Thank you. I want to thank the speakers that came in today. Some of them are still with us. Some of them have left and some of them were on the Zoom. But it's really helpful to have public input related to these recommendations. And I think most of the speakers did comment related to the buckets that we've already defined as high priorities for the county, namely mental health. And so when we talk about mental health, we obviously need to pay some attention to childhood trauma and ACEs and some of the things that the experts see as major concerns, especially as we come out of COVID. So appreciate those comments. And the folks that were promoting the smart housing, I've had an opportunity to go out there with an invitation from LAD, and it really is impressive. And so, when we talk about housing, I do think it's important that we talk about housing for many, many different populations that reside in Hamilton County. So thanks again to everybody that came in. I am going to comment on the Commission on Women and Girls. We had a big event yesterday. It was the pay equity commitment signing. We had over 30 entities signing, including Hamilton County. Jeff Aludo was there. City of Cincinnati was there, and then some major corporations, including the Reds and, FC Cincinnati has signed on. The zoo was there, Great Parks. And so we had nonprofits, we had government entities, we had some small businesses there as well. Resolve was one of those, and some of the nonprofits were there. So it was a great celebration, and they all committed to thinking about pay equity as they hire people in their places of business. So very, very grateful for that. Mary Mowney, who is the program coordinator for, and really all things, to the Commission on Women and Girls, did a spectacular job in putting that together and making sure it was a real celebration. And then I also want to note the committee that actually did the work, that produced the pay equity commitment. It's taken a couple of years to put something really solid in front of us, but we supported that in the last recommendations, and now we've had this ceremony. So it was a lot of fun. We had a good time, and it was a great cause. I have also met with Televate, and I just want to remind folks that are listening that there's an opportunity for citizens to participate in a survey related to broadband gaps in our community. That's what we're trying to identify as we think about how we spend. And we've got a lot allocated for broadband. We know it's an issue, especially since schools were out during COVID and folks were working from home. And there were some real challenges there. And so if people want to participate in the survey to help us better define and understand where the gaps are, they can go to our website, hamiltoncountyohio.gov, and there's a survey on there. And please, please participate in that survey to help us inform ourselves as to how we need to invest those dollars. And then lastly, I don't know if everyone's been reading some of the press coverage related to addiction. We have, and we've seen this trend really within the last couple of years, where fentanyl is being pressed into pills. And so while we have seen and responded to fentanyl in some of the drugs of use, including heroin and cocaine and crack and methamphetamine, fentanyl is also being pressed into pills. And some of the users of those pills are young people, and they are unaware that fentanyl is in those pills, and they're getting the pills online. And so it's very dangerous. And that's the message. It's very dangerous when young people are going online and getting pills that might be laced with fentanyl, because there was just a story, I read it today, of a young man that died. First time using any pills, he got them on, I think, Snapchat, and used once, and that was it, and he overdosed. So I wanted to read something quickly from the Department of Public Health. I reached out to Jennifer Mooney, who sits on HCRC, to just get a better sense of this and what she would like us to convey. So I'm going to read just a short paragraph from her. She says there's an increased prevalence of pressed pills on the black market, likely laced with fentanyl or even more potent synthetics. We fear this could impact young people more and need to get ahead of this. Some ways we can do this is by talking to the kids and young people in our community about this potential danger. So I hope those listening can take that to heart and warn their children that these are, deadly drugs, and we all need to make sure that our kids are aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I just wanted to make a comment as it relates to one of the callers on Zoom talked about childcare and not seeing childcare indicated in our ARP funding, but we've previously done it, and we're looking forward to that. And also the state, there was a little asterisk underneath the little form that we were showing. I think the state gave like 800 million or has allocated 800 million for childcare. So just to let the caller know that we are not forgetting about childcare and have not forgotten about it. And I was also going to make a comment about the level of violence in Hamilton County. I was reading, I don't want to quote it. I want to say, I won't even say it because I'm not sure, but I know our level of violence is extremely high in Hamilton County as it relates to other counties in Ohio. So even though the majority of the violence we see is in the city limits, but it's anytime it happens in Hamilton County, it impacts us. And so where we want to go with trying to help the city of Cincinnati to extinguish that level of violence, which goes back to what you were saying about the work programs and things like that. But we can't ignore it because it's happening primarily in the city of Cincinnati, because it's going to flow out to other areas also. So Jeff Aludo, our administrator, you have a report?
Thank you, Madam President. No by leave items today, just a couple of comments. Number one, on the question of the phone number for seniors, for the senior assistance program that Vice President Reese mentioned. I believe that number is 513-743-9000. I think that was a number that Ms. Webb had given. So if there's seniors watching, they're looking for assistance as it relates to utilities, home improvements, et cetera, 743-9000.
Is that on our website?
I believe it is. Yeah, so we'll check and make sure, but if
Thank you.
it's not, it will be imminently, but I believe it is. Secondly, on the topic of pay equity, I just also want to say, number one, it was a pleasure to be at the event yesterday. Also, as for the board, and the board is aware, but for the public's awareness as well, that we have also done studies in the past in Hamilton County specifically within our organization to determine where we are from a pay equity perspective. And I'm happy to say that Hamilton County has, in our past studies, fared extremely well in terms of our equity, gender equity for pay and salary. I believe last time that we had done the study, there was a very slight difference between on gender equity, but nothing that the researchers could ascribe to anything but statistical variation. So we performed much better, orders of magnitude better than what we were hearing about some of the greater Cincinnati studies that are being done, where we're looking at an 80-cent to $1 differential female to male salary. And I would note, I believe Mr. Spataro is in the back. We're in the process of updating that study right now. This is something that we have committed to doing regularly to make sure that we don't lose ground on that front as well. So just wanted to mention that. We were 98 cents on the dollar last time we had done it. And again, that was not something that we weren't certain that wasn't just statistical variation. So we'll, over the course of time here, as we get more trend data in, we will see where we fall. Finally, commissioners, just a good news item for you. The board is well aware that we have a lot of fantastic employees in the county, and we have a lot of fantastic employees up at our 911 center who are constantly doing work for the public, making sure as the first link in the chain of public safety that they're answering people's calls and getting them help on what many times amounts to the worst day in somebody's life. And one of the most important things that someone can do out there is not only take those calls, but also take on the extra work of training new 911 employees. And so I just wanted to congratulate Miss Amanda Henderson with our 911 office, who was selected as the training officer of the year up at the state of Ohio's APCO NINA education conference last week. So just wanted to pass that along. We will send our congratulations on behalf of the board to Ms. Henderson, but just wanted to congratulate her publicly as well. That concludes my comments for today, commissioners.
Thank you so much. I think that deserves a proclamation. So we'll see what we can do. Okay, very good. And I wanted to mention that as it relates to employee wages, that no one makes any less than $15 coming in. So that's something that you guys have started a while ago. So I think that's awesome. So we will move forward. Our engineer has been waiting very patiently. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah, I thought you would leave them with him. Eric Beck.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Just have two quick items today. Item number one is a resolution authorizing a joint agreement between Hamilton County and Sims Township for the installation of a traffic signal preemption system. This will be used by emergency fire equipment at intersections along Fields Erdel Road in Sims Township. There is zero cost to the county for this. Sims Township is picking up all the installation, maintenance, and repair costs.
Thank you. Is that normal?
Yes.
Okay, very good for traffic signals. Any questions or comments? I'd like to make a motion to adopt item 1.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Okay, item number 2 is a resolution authorizing a joint agreement between Hamilton County and the Board of Trustees of Deerfield Township for the installation of traffic signal preemption system. Also on Fields Erdel Road. This is on the on the other side of the street. Our signal is in Hamilton County, Deerfield Township is installing the same preemption system.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments? I'd like to make a motion to adopt item number 2.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have several consent agenda items, items 3 through 16. Just wanted to do a general summary of a few of them. Item 4 is an agreement with the county and Ethos Labs for testing, COVID testing, 1.2 million. There's item 5, a budget adjustment for additional lodging tax collections and expenses and engineer projects in Anderson Green and Springfield Township for 3.2 million. I have item 7, a resolution accepting one purchase order of Hamilton County and authorizing its execution and release on behalf of the Hamilton County Recorder, which is 3.8 million. Item 9 under Human Resources is a resolution approving and journalizing the final wage agreement between the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, Sheriff's Office, and the Hamilton County Deputy Sheriff's Association, representing corrections, sergeants, lieutenants, and captains. Item 10 is a resolution approving a tentative collective bargaining agreement between Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners and the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 20, representing maintenance repair workers 1 and 2, and groundskeepers in County Facilities Department. Item 11 is a resolution approving a tentative collective bargaining agreement between the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, Office of the Clerk of Courts, and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, ASME, representing clerical staff in the Title Administration Division of the Clerk of Courts. Item 12 is a resolution approving and journalizing the final wage agreement between the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, Sheriff's Office, and the Hamilton County Correction Officers Association, representing correction officers. 13 is also a resolution approving and journalizing the final wage agreement between Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners, Sheriff's Office, and the benevolent employees of the Hamilton County Sheriff, representing non-management administrative support and maintenance employees. As you can see, Human Resources has been very busy, along with our lawyers, working together with different entities to come up with very important wage agreements. And I thank them, and I'm sure the board thanks them for all their work. And Frank Spataro is here, our Human Resource Director. We thank you. Item 14, JFS, 500,000 for group home services. And item 15, resolution authorizing renewal number 2 of the original agreement with National Youth Advocate Program, 4.5 million for foster care. And then item 16, the treasurer's monthly investment report for the month of March to be accepted. Are there any comments on any consent agenda items? Vice President Reese.
Yes, comment on number 5. And I've got 2, 4 and 5, but I'm gonna start with 5. 5, I just wanted to acknowledge that the lodging tax collections, that's, people that book our hotels. And those projections, I guess, were higher than expected. And so today, we're bringing in additional, I believe, $2.5 million. So I think that's really good. So that allows us to do other things to help citizens of Hamilton County by getting taxes from people who are visiting. So I thought that was really good and something positive to bring up. And then item number 4 was an issue of testing. I know Commissioner Kesterman was here, and he was talking about how our county is kind of a leader because we were concerned about now that COVID is not, dominating the news all day. There's still testing that needs to happen, and people would have to start paying for it because a lot of the places are not around like they used to be. But because of our board, we do have testing still in place. And now we have a contract with the laboratory that will be able to provide that testing. I also checked with Administrator Ludo that if things were to ramp up, and we don't want that to happen, but if it were, that this contract does allow this group would be ready to go with a drive-through. They can make that change quickly without having to come back to us. So they're able to adjust. I believe this is going to start off in the libraries, but they have the flexibility to adjust if the circumstances requires it. So I think those are two positive things, in addition to the other things that I just wanted to put some focus on. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yeah, I was also going to highlight number 4, the testing. And so I think it's important to understand, and as you noted, Commissioner Reese, that where people can go to access the testing. And so is Test and Protect still the site where people can go to get the information related to testing? Okay, so it is. That has been consistently the site where people have been able to get access to the locations and the times, because I too was wondering about that. So when is the information already up on that site related to this testing, or when can we expect this to roll out? Holly Christman is coming to.
Mhm.
Good afternoon. We are pending approval by the board. Our vendor Ethos Labs will be ready to go on the 25th. So it's not public yet because we are waiting for board approval.
It's public now. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm. Thank you so much. With no further discussion, I'd make a motion to approve items 3 through 16.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you so much. With no further business to come before the board, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Thank you.